show that 212 persons have been murdered in the island since January 1. This is a 6% increase over the corresponding period last year. Shootings are also up 9%. In St. James and St. Andrews South Police Divisions, they recorded the most homicides. There were 28 murders in St. James, a 250% increase over the same period last year. Now, Clarendon, West Kingston, Kingston Central, and the St. Catherine North Divisions have also seen an uptick in murders and shootings. Chairman of the private sector organization of Jamaica Standing Committee on National Security, that is George Overton, he is of the view that sustainable deductions in serious crimes is possible. To achieve this, he's suggesting that some of the crime strategies already in place will have to be adjusted. Kirk Wright has that story.
It can be argued that Jamaica has never really had a sustained crime reduction plan since independence, and that has sometimes led to spikes in serious crimes at different points, namely homicides. George Overton, who is the PSOJ's chairman on their Standing Committee on National Security, feels that because Jamaica is yet to find a way to stop the production of gangs and gang leaders. In making reference to education system, Mr. Overton says those not making it academically should be redirected to other areas of learning much earlier than they are now.
We need that intervention at an earlier stage, not after they have finished school and haven't made it. We need that intervention whilst they're in school so that we don't allow them to fall off of the educational programs into the corner activity, into the gangs.
Mr. Overton says social intervention programs are critical to crime reduction, but argues for a long time those programs have been out of whack.
If you look back historically at even some of the Zozos of past, you have 15 or 16 different agencies in one community, all doing different types of programs, sometimes the same programs. They are all vying for the same dollar, whether it be locally contributed or internationally contributed. They're competing for that money. And there is no focused effort. There is no targeted effort. And the outcomes are not being measured. This has to change.
He made a point about individual human rights and the part that may be playing in hampering the fight against crime. He says the conversation surrounding the constitutional rights of one person needs to change to look at the rights of a group fighting for a common cause.
We need to start to have a discussion about the collective rights of our people. Because we talk about the constitutional of a right of an individual who is wreaking havoc in a community against hundreds of us. Where is the collective right of those 100 people?
Kirk Wright, TVJ News.
Welcome back to Primetime News, and a special welcome once again to those of you watching on our One Spot Media platform. Up first this evening, 1 week after a U.S. online newspaper reported a security lapse on Jamaica's JAMCOVID-19 website, the newspaper is reporting another security lapse on the same application. This time, the report says passwords for the website were left unprotected on the server. The reporter who uncovered the security lapse said he held the story until this afternoon to give the government and the Amber Group a chance to respond, but neither did. U.S. online publication TechCrunch is reporting the discovery of a second security lapse on the JAMCOVID-19 website. In a report this afternoon, it said Amber Group had fixed the second security lapse that exposed private keys and passwords for the app and website. It says a security researcher told TechCrunch yesterday that the Amber Group left a file on the JAMCOVID website by mistake which contained passwords that would have granted access to the back-end systems, storage, and databases running the JAMCOVID app and site. It says the researcher asked not to be named for fear of legal repercussions from the Jamaican government. TechCrunch says it contacted Amber Group to alert it of the security lapse, and the company pulled the exposed file offline a short time later. Last week, TechCrunch revealed a weakness on the website and app, which it said left hundreds of thousands of travelers' data exposed. However, the government has countered, saying only about 700 travelers were affected, and it has since launched an investigation into the breach. Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. We're continuing the news. There are renewed fears this evening that the buildup of crowds at tax offices across the island could create a melting pot for the coronavirus. Our news team visited locations in the corporate area and St. Catherine and observed a breakdown of COVID safety protocols in some instances. However, Tax Administration Jamaica insists it is compliant. Krista Campbell has that story.
The lines outside the Crossroads tax office in St. Andrew were not that long when our news team visited Tuesday morning. But in downtown Kingston and at Constant Spring, this. TVJ News was at the Spanish Town tax office on Monday. Some customers complained that they were there from 8 in the morning and even after 2 in the afternoon had not gotten through. Not everyone could contain their frustration, and the anxiety to get through meant overcrowding at the entrance. Tents set up outside the facility to help with crowd control were also sometimes void of any physical distancing. But Chief Corporate Communications Officer at Tax Administration Jamaica, TAJ, Maris Horton, says safety protocols are in place.
We have employed additional persons who ensure that particularly those hard-use areas, those heavily trafficked areas, that they are sanitized on a regular basis, on the hour, every hour on the hour.
In the 5 hours our correspondent was at the Spanish Town location on Monday, he said he did not see seats being sanitized whenever persons got up. In the midst of the crowd, outside and inside the building, a few persons were observed not wearing their masks properly, further adding to the concerns about the possible spread of COVID-19 in the thick of the crowd. Ms. Horton is urging residents to make use of services that are available online and for things that have to be done in office for customers to visit during downtimes, like near the close of business.
Our peak periods are the middle of the month, which is the time when a lot of business persons would do their employment transactions, as well as at the end of the month where we see significant numbers of persons coming in to do things like registering their motor vehicles.
She assures that while some locations cannot accommodate a designated line for senior citizens and the disabled, they are given priority treatment.
Once we open our doors, the seniors are escorted inside, and there is the senior citizens special window that is available to them, and they are served.
Amidst the concerns about long wait time, our news team observed 2 women suspected to be tax office employees offering to speed up the process for some customers.
Everything up the street in there got cash in, and I chat things. Yeah. So last night, you have a picture? Alright, you have a roll and a driver's license. 3 grand and get up to drive. Who takes money?
A true man. Me see it.
Ms. Horton stressed the TAJ takes extortion very seriously and investigates any such claim.
We are aware of a service, a pop-up entrepreneur outside of our gates that does offer the service where persons can use online for a service fee, I imagine, that they can get the service done online. Let me just remind persons that this is the very same service that you can do from the comforts of your office or your home.
Krista Campbell, TVJ News.
There's more evidence this evening that the surge in COVID-19 cases across the island is taking a toll on hospitals. Hospitals out west are running out of bed spaces to treat COVID-19 patients, while hospitals in St. Catherine and the corporate area are also having capacity issues. Fashion Brown has that report.
As the surge in COVID-19 cases continue, hospitals have been bursting at the seams. It's reported that several hospitals are running out of bed spaces on the COVID-19 ward. One such hospital is the Noel Homes in Lucy, Hanover.
We are at capacity with our cases that are admitted, and therefore we have to move into the next phase of how we manage these cases, and what that means is basically making space in other areas, restructuring things, and of course we have a system of cooperation with within the region, how we can move patients around.
The senior medical officer says the hospital will try to maintain some of the services that it offers to the public, but challenges are ahead.
We do face a challenge of decreasing services. One of the issues is, of course, when you decrease services, there are persons who may not have COVID, but they have other critical illnesses that have to be addressed as well. And we are trying to find, how we can best address those cases by maintaining those services and making sure their health needs are met.
He says given that the hospital's COVID-19 isolation area is at capacity, another area in the hospital is being used to treat COVID patients.
We have an area that is equipped to manage COVID patients, and that is almost at capacity now. So that area was also an area that would see other patients as well, patients for observation, asthmatic patients. So we have to now relocate some services so that we can actually make sure the areas are safe for other patients who are there and for staff, so that all our COVID patients would be in one area.
The hospital doesn't keep critically ill patients, so it would generally transfer those patients to the Cornwall Regional Hospital in Montego Bay, St. James. But the problem is that Cornwall is also running out of space. In the meantime, the Southeast Regional Health Authority says that region is also having capacity issues. It says while none of the hospitals throughout St. Catherine and Kingston and St. Andrew are full, occupancy levels are high. Vashon Brown, TVJ News.
Welcome back to Primetime News, and a special welcome once again to those of you watching on our One Spot Media platform. Up first this evening, only students preparing for exit exams will participate in face-to-face classes. That announcement was made today at a press briefing by Education Minister Favour Williams. This follows calls from some school administrators for physical classes to stop in light of the rapid increase in COVID-19 cases in Jamaica. Vashon Brown has our story.
The government started a phased reopening of 17 schools for face-to-face classes in November last year. Since then, over 400 schools have been approved for physical classes. However, only 300 schools have been using the face-to-face mode. In light of the spike in COVID-19 cases, the Jamaica Teachers Association, JTA, called for all face-to-face classes to be discontinued. Not quite what the JTA was asking for, but today Education Minister Favour Williams made this announcement.
Our schools that are open for face-to-face are only allowed to have our exit exam students in the face-to-face mode, and that would be students in grade 6 at the primary schools and students in grades 11, 12, and 13 at the high schools. And in terms of the time frame for this, it's taking effect today until further advised.
She says the issue was discussed with principals, the e-COVID task force, as well as the JTA. So with many schools now reverting to online classes and other modalities, questions about the digital divide and access to devices like laptops and tablets continue. The Education Minister says she knows that some students have not opened a single book during the period they have been outside of the physical classroom.
They are not online and they are not watching or listening to any lessons. We would have started our mobile intervention in which our teachers and some tertiary students go into communities and find these students and teach them in small groups of up to 5 for 1.5 hours, 2 times per week.
The Education Minister says the distribution of devices continue. As for the CSEC and CAPE exams, Acting Chief Education Officer Dr. Kassan Troop says a meeting will take place with the Caribbean Examination Council CXC regarding the final decision for the 2021 sitting.
We are awaiting that meeting. It's supposed to be convened this Friday with the region and CXC, and post that meeting we will reconvene with our principals to sensitize them of the final directive with respect to the sitting, and then we will have discussions concerning the way forward as we work together to prepare our boys and girls.
As it relates to the primary exit profile PEP, the Education Ministry will meet with primary school principals to discuss possible changes. In the meantime, as of February 21, 41 schools reported a positive or suspected case of COVID-19.
Total number of confirmed cases among our student population would be 47 and 6 suspected cases among staff. There would have been 23 confirmed cases and 18 suspected cases.
Vashon Brown, TVJ News.